Baker, Brown, and Robinson, the 5 in for Ohio State.
Against Smith on that wing, if they can reverse it and cross court, it's going to be tough for him to block a shot, or at least contest.
Skelton for 3. And rebounded by Gent. Stolen by Smith. Ohio State had hit 7 consecutive field goals prior to that miss by Skelton, and a temporary steal recovered by Smith.
Now, Randy Ayers said they're not doing a good job on the dribble penetration, assisting. That time they did. There's the reversal. That's what they have to do.
Barnes. And you notice the guards for Iowa doing their best to get in the paint, Bill. They're not shooting well from the outside.
Well, when you rotate the ball like that, the defense is moving to the sideline. You can go back to the middle.
28-23. Buckeyes on top. 7:07 left in the half. And a charging foul on Jamie Skelton. Foul number 3 on Skelton. So Jamie Skelton picks up his 3rd personal foul, 8th foul for the Buckeyes. The Bills and Redskins will be looked forward to next week, but coming up next, Villanova and North Carolina, and your good friend Rolly Massimino having done a nice job so far.
Sure has, beating Georgetown and then Connecticut and then Seton Hall, so the pasta flowing.
Live here at Sold Out St. John Arena, James Brown along with Bill Raftery, Ohio State and Iowa doing battle. 28-23, Buckeyes on top, 6:59 left in the half.
Half-court pressure, Lusk shooter, and back into the zone. Now this is just like the Iowa zone. You see Gent down to help out. Now he's got to play the point, come all the way out. He personifies effort, by the way, JB.
An ex-football player who says he loves to hit people, Chris Gent.
Sounds like the guy next to me.
Daintily, though. And a nice turnaround by Jay Webb off the bench. Webb averaging only 2 points a ball game, and he's got just that.
Alley-oop, didn't get it up high enough. Funderburk can run. Because the other night he had an incident with Damon Bailey where there was a confrontation of sorts. Look at this, just didn't get it up high enough, but he can run, get behind the zone. And Bailey said he didn't hit me, and Funderburk said I was just trying to get through a pick, and both felt there was more made of that than necessary.
And I agree, it was too much made. And too many steps this time by Paul Lusk. As a matter of fact, Damon Bailey said he knew that his act went over well in taking that charge from Funderburk. Funderburk knew it was nothing but a clean, aggressive play.
Well, Jimmy Jackson, I almost get one here, said to me that Bailey winked at him after the foul call. Nice penetration.
Baker, good move by Mark Baker.
He's the guy, when he steps up, they're pretty darn good. He almost gets one on the inbound.
A little too aggressive on the part of Mark Baker after he dropped in his 4th point, picking up his 1st personal foul.
And JB, we were told a story about his uncle, who's a reverend in Alabama, Mark Baker that is, and he listens to his gospel tape before every game.
Nothing wrong with that.
And this is his uncle's group is called Reverend Baker and the Believers. I love it.
Most appropriate. Most appropriate.
And he will make Ohio State followers a believer when he runs the club.
Earl trying to be a believer at the free throw line as he drops in one. You know, we were talking yesterday and watching practice, and I know Mark Wolf had commented specifically. Many people say if you look at Earl's practice habits, you don't think he's a ball player, but he turns it on during games.
Well, I asked him, where did they find out that you could play? He said the Vegas game. Tom looked at him, saw the gangly legs and how effective as Baker, once again, I believe, no Danny Thomas there if he drills that. Go to the post guy. He's got some moves. They got the back in by Earl as Funderburk held his ground, and that's a point that is being observed with more scrutiny.
A.C. Earl picking up his 2nd personal foul, team 5th. 5:42 left in the first half of play. Hawkeyes trailing by 6. Gent to inbound to Funderburk.
They've been able to get down, get set, and do a pretty good job. Look at this, that's on a bad 3 or 2 now. But Gent, who's improved his stroke, they're punishing him with the push.
Chris Gent. This his first basket and a steal.
Great pump fake.
Nice pass by Jackson to Funderburk, and he's fouled.
You know who enjoyed that play more than anybody? Those strong legs going into the picture to help Funderburk. 2-2. Jackson loves to give it up.
We've talked so much about how Jim Jackson is unselfish, and boy, he's loving the fact that he has Lawrence Funderburk now to play with, a guy who can handle the passes.
He feels like he's playing with Yogi Berra. He's getting everything, whether it's wild high, wild low, even the easy ones he's able to complete.
And in no way knocking the guys who contributed so much last year, Treg Lee and Perry Carter. They just didn't have the hands, especially Carter, that this kid, Lawrence Funderburk, has.
Well, you can relate to that.
Are you talking about me dropping a glass of water?
Well, softness on occasion escapes you, particularly at check time.
Lawrence Funderburk making a major impact here for Ohio State. Buckeyes on top, 36-26. Funderburk playing in only his 4th game for Ohio State.
See, both clubs with the pressure like to force the ball into a man's hand who isn't the best shooter. And when your philosophy is to take that and give it kids confidence, occasionally it hurts you. Now, Iowa unable to get Earl in because of that pressure philosophy.
And now a 1-2-2 zone by Ohio State.
And Jet, look at him up and down. He's got to play the top. Nice step in.
And there's a steal by Baker.
I'm Andrea Joyce. Coming up on the Prudential at the Half, Billy Packer will stop by to talk about the Rodney Dangerfield of conferences. On the other side of the world, John McEnroe continues to amaze at the Australian Open, and Willie Gault fails to make the U.S. bobsled team. That and more coming up at halftime. Now back to Columbus.
All right, Andrea, back here on the campus of Ohio State University, an 8-0 run by the Buckeyes. Have them out in front 38-26 over Iowa. 4:31 left in the first half of play.
They got to get Street involved a little bit. Excellent prospect. A couple of early fouls, not in the flow. The zone trying to force the outside shot.
Good patience by Iowa. Good defense by Ohio State. This is A.C. Earl.
Tough shot.
Rebounded by Baker. Stolen by Moses. And Moses with the pump fake and draws the foul from Jim Jackson. First personal foul on the part of Jim Jackson.
The defense was great. Baker earlier had stolen one here, reacting beautifully, but behind the back in a trap. Not the ideal kind of play, and Jimmy just giving it up at that opportunity.
James Moses struggled to find his shooting touch. Known as a pure shooter coming out of high school. Somewhat back on track right now as he drops in the first.
I have an ominous note for Iowa and you. Their official scorer is a mortician. I mean, that's sort of an eerie feeling, and right now they are on the ropes. They got to get something out of the pressure and be patient on the offense.
Gent helping to break the press for Ohio State. 3:54 left in the first half to play. Ohio State.
Nice pass work.
To Funderburk. And Funderburk with that jump hook. Awkward looking, but effective.
He hides beautifully, understands the game beyond most.
Funderburk with 10 first half points, averaging 11 on the season. As I mentioned before, only 4 games he has played in.
How about those numbers there?
That explains the run.
Yeah, it sure does.
Barnes for 3, and Val Barnes finds the range from three-point land. Only a 31% shooter from behind the tray land, but he nails that one.
Well, both these clubs can spurt on you. So you can't run away. Oh, steps. Huh?
Brown.
Wow.
Jamal Brown answers right back, and he's a 48% shooter from 3 land.
Well, Dr. Tom, who's normally docile on the sidelines, threw down his academic garb on that non-walk call.
The 3 by by Moses off the mark. The rebound by Funderburk. And Lawrence Funderburk with 8 rebounds in the first half. Jackson for 3. Strong rebound by Gent. And foul.
They got a delay of the game now. They're just going to don't touch the ball, but a shot of Gent, all-out effort. But Funderburk looked up. They didn't have the quick outlet. And then the long jumper by Jackson, but Gent just gives everything for the alma mater, continually getting after it. That's one Earl couldn't get.
Gent and Brown on the bench. Alex Davis into the game along with Tom Brandewie for the Buckeyes.
Ohio State has great floor coverage because of their ability to get there. You throw a looping pass, they step in, quick to recover.
This is a one-man press breaker himself, Kevin Smith.
When they can get it back to him. Man-to-man.
Smith, Barnes, Street, A.C. Earl, and James Moses, the 5 on the floor for the Hawkeyes.
There's Earl. Let him go to work.
Hook shot. Short. Jackson with the loose ball.
Got the numbers. You better be ready. He has that snap wrist. The ball pops in to the receiver.
As Jim Jackson checks in with the head coach, Randy Ayers, to see what he wants with 1:52 left in the first half.
He's going to have some big decisions tonight. There's where he stopped that little baseline. Jimmy, a lot of people are going to talk to him about NBA and coming out. He's going to have some major decisions. Looks like he'll be a lottery pick. His attitude, much like yours, a humble individual. Isn't he a pleasant youngster?
Class
all the way.
Indeed. That foul called on Kevin Smith, sending Jackson to the free throw line, and Jackson. It is really hard to find a flaw in his game, Billy. He's 80% from the free throw line. I mean, he just does it all.
Well-rounded and attitude. Just an extraordinary for others. I think Funderburk can learn a great deal under him.
We talk about how he's gotten better over the years as a player. Quantum improvement each year.
Early on, he didn't look for shots much, and that's what I think part of the average problem was. But Randy recruited him, and at the end of the year, Randy was the assistant to Gary Williams. Jimmy said, "Coach, I made up my mind." And Randy's on the other end of the phone. He said, "I'm going to Syracuse." Silence. He said, "I'm only kidding. I'm going to Georgetown." Silence. And finally, he announced Ohio State. So Randy, one of the great coups. They backed him in again.
And Earl with some good real estate, but a little too anxious. And you know, A.C. Earl told us before the game, with Funderburk in there, he's going to have to be more concerned about his shot blocking ability and a little too much concern that time.
Right on the money. He gets away with the clear route, but because Lawrence will give that cushion, he can come up with the deflections.
11th turnover of the contest here in the first half for the Hawkeyes.
They got a 5-second call out. Smith just stayed there. Jimmy Jackson looking at Randy Ayers for direction on the play, but they will end up calling Funderburk Lawrence of Columbus.
Lawrence of Columbus.
Got a ring to it.
A.C. Earl trying to get more in the mix, only 2 of 7 from the field here in the first half.
A little pick and roll, and they fill on the box, and they try and get Street in the game. Wise call. He has not been involved.
And Street, another one who likes the physical contact. Jackson. Funderburk.
Not a good one.
Head move, but not a good shot.
That was just a St. Catherine, Kentucky release. Nice play again here. Defense by Davis. Oh, yes!
Seconds left in the half.
They pick and roll now.
And a deep 3 by Val Barnes. And that's the end of the first half with the score. Ohio State 49, Iowa 36. We'll return to St. John Arena after this message and a word from your local station. Andrea Joyce will be coming up at halftime.
Iowa takes on Northwestern Wednesday at 7. CBS Sports presents The Prudential at the Half, sponsored by the companies of The Prudential. Come to The Prudential and build your future on the Rock.
They're at halftime at St. John Arena in Columbus, Ohio State, leading Iowa 49-36. We are in the trophy room at the Smith Center on the campus of the University of North Carolina, where later today the Tar Heels will host Villanova. Hi again, everyone. I'm Andrea Joyce. Welcome to the Prudential at the Half. Well, early this morning, when most of us were still sound asleep, John McEnroe was making all kinds of noise down at the Australian Open. A grueling 5-set match against 13th seed Emilio Sanchez with court temperatures up to 120 degrees. Match point, Sanchez serving in the near court. McEnroe hits the forehand winner down the line to win the set 8-6. An unbelievable week for John McEnroe, who stunned Boris Becker, the defending champion, on Friday. McEnroe now advances to the quarterfinals. With the Winter Olympics now less than 3 weeks away, let's bring you up to date on some winter sports news. The final push-off for the U.S. bobsled team took place this afternoon in Altenburg, Germany. NFL wide receiver Willie Gault did not make the team. Gault finished 8th out of 11 pushers today. We will have a complete report during the halftime of the North Carolina-Villanova game. In men's speed skating, Germany's Uwe Jensmai set a new world record in a 500-meter race in Davos, Switzerland. He beat American Dan Jansen, who had set a world record earlier this year. In Kitzbühel, Austria today, another World Cup slalom victory for Italy's Alberto Tomba. It was Tomba's 6th World Cup win this season. Tomba, of course, the two-time gold medal winner from 1988. Coming up, a busy night in college basketball. We will have highlights and a reminder. We are here at the Dean Dome in North Carolina, where we are surrounded by memories of former Tar Heel stars. Our own star, Billy Packer, also joins us when we come back. At halftime in Columbus, Ohio State, with a 13-point lead over the Iowa Hawkeyes. Well, the road to the Final Four keeps many of us up very late on Saturday nights. And just in case you were down or out for the evening, here's a look at some of last night's primetime drama. Bobby Knight took his 5th-ranked Indiana team on the road last night. And with a perfect Big Ten record, these are happy Hoosiers. Damon Bailey with the rebound goes coast to coast for 2, 17 points last night for the sophomore. Calbert Chaney had a season-high 26 points to lead the Hoosiers to their 11th straight win. Coach Knight's team was never threatened. Bailey and Chaney teaming up to give the Wildcats fits all night long. Northwestern has now lost 26 consecutive Big Ten games. Indiana, who earlier this week beat Ohio State, is 4-0 in the conference and remains on top in the Big Ten. Lou Carnesecca's Redmen were coming off an embarrassing low-scoring loss to Miami. Despite shooting 10 for 26, St. John senior Malik Sealy scored 34 points last night to lead the 17th-ranked Redmen past Providence 85-75. Seton Hall has also been struggling in the Big East, but Boston College, on the other hand, is suddenly coming back to life, led by last year's Big East Freshman of the Year, Billy Curley. The Hall's Brian Caver kept it close. He had 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. And after losing to Georgetown and Villanova last week, the Pirates were hungry for a victory. This one went down to the wire. 3 seconds left on the clock. BC sophomore Jared Abrams' jumper puts the Eagles up by 1. Terry DeHare had a chance to win it for the Hall, but his shot hit the rim as the buzzer sounded. Number 21 Seton Hall continues to slide, losing its 3rd straight Big East game. Syracuse has surprised lots of folks in the Big East, and Villanova has come on strong, but Seton Hall is hovering around the bottom of the conference standings. In the potent Big 8, Colorado was looking for an upset last night. CU freshman Donnie Boyce had 27 points to keep the Buffaloes in the game. But the 6th-ranked Jayhawks are strong. Rex Walters and Alonzo Jamison teamed up to open up a 14-point halftime lead for Kansas, and it looked bad for Colorado. But the Buffs found some help behind James Horton, and CU came storming back. 2 seconds left on the clock. Colorado down by 2. Billy Law with a chance to tie it at the foul line, but he misses the first one, and Kansas goes on to win by 1. So the Jayhawks stay tied for first in the Big 8 with Oklahoma State. The Cowboys a perfect 16-0, their best start since the 50-51 season. And Kansas is one of 5 Big 8 teams currently in the top 25. And yet when people talk about strong conferences, they always name the ACC, the Big East, the Big Ten, the SEC. Here now to enlighten and enthrall us with all of his insights, our own Billy Packer. What about the Big 8? Are they a little underappreciated?
Well, not by the people in that part of the country, for sure. One of the things that I think is a fault there, and it's a fault on all our parts, in the major media centers of the United States, and including us on television, the fact that the Big 8 Big 8 does not bring to the record place major media centers. So therefore, they haven't had the television exposure of some of the other conferences, but they're playing great basketball, have the best record of anybody against a non-conference play so far this year. As you can see right there, 84-13, and they have not been playing the Sisters of the Poor. So the Big 8 certainly is going to be well thought of and well heard from this year in the NCAA tournament.
Let's move a little further west and talk about the Pac-10. Is this the year that UCLA finally loosens the stranglehold that Arizona has had on the Pac-10?
Well, I didn't think that they could win the game in Arizona last week, as some people saw here, but I think this UCLA club certainly is a very experienced team, is a very gifted team physically. Don McClain, certainly one of the nation's top players, along with Tracy Murray, gives them great strength on the inside and great shooting ability. Maybe 2 of the best shooters that have played on the same team in quite some time on the inside. So, yes, UCLA is for real, and a Final Four team certainly potential.
Who's surprised you so far? Are you as surprised as a lot of folks are about Syracuse?
Well, certainly I am surprised at Syracuse. Lawrence Moten, their freshman, has been outstanding. As Luther Wright, maybe not quite so strong for Seton Hall, and that may be the difference between what people expected in the Big East. But what surprised me most, Andrea, in regard to this season are the tremendous swings we're seeing, not only from a standpoint of teams like Villanova, who we have here today, or Notre Dame, swinging to the depths and then coming back in a given day playing so well, and also from a standpoint of individual games, like an Indiana at home having a 26-2 run put on them by Ohio State. That's what's making it a great season and going to make for a great NCAA tournament.
And make for a great March for sure. March Madness, really mad this time. Thanks a lot, Billy. And Billy, of course, will be here later with Jim Nance for the second half of our college basketball doubleheader, North Carolina and Villanova. And that'll do it for this edition of the Prudential at the Half. We'll be back later. But first, let's send you back to James Brown and Bill Raftery in Columbus after these messages and a word from your local station.
The Prudential at the Half was sponsored by The Prudential. Come to the companies of The Prudential and build your future on the rock.
You see the...
CBS Sports coverage of the road to the Final Four is sponsored by Geo. Get to know Geo. Available right around the corner at your Chevrolet Geo dealers. Intel, the computer inside. And by Wheaties. Better get your whole grain. Better eat your Wheaties.
A rule.
Iowa takes on Northwestern Wednesday at 7.
Back here for the start of the second half, Ohio State and Iowa. Buckeyes lead it by 13, 49-36, and Ohio State can certainly thank a very aggressive defense that forced 12 Iowa turnovers, and that's a trademark. Ohio State forcing 20 a game.
They've been very good at it. Of course, this is the other big item. Ohio State able to convert on sequences that are stimulated not only in the full court but the half court sets. And you just got to love Jackson. The look away and the finish. Extraordinary basketball. Iowa has to start strong.
And we have mentioned the last 3 games that Ohio State was shooting less than 50% from the field. Rectified that in a major way in the first half here. And again, a lot of credit goes to those 17 points coming off a fast break.
And the pressure on the inbounds, forcing it to go all the way back. And JB, I just think Iowa's got to get Earl and Street in the game to be effective. A 1-3-1 half-court trap.
A.C. Earl with only 7 points in the first half, averaging 21, and Street with only 2 points. He's averaging 10 a game.
Nice play here.
And a nice steal by Kevin Smith, 10th turnover of the game for Ohio State. Two-man basketball between Earl and Smith. Here's the hook. And immediately, as we said, they go right to A.C. Earl to get him in the ball game.
Well, he's got a doctorate. And weren't you always impressed with gentlemen with doctorates? Tom's not sleeping over there. But the reset was the key there. Earl posted up, kicked it back, as you said, two-man, and reset his large frame. And that's what's made it so he didn't make that hook earlier. This time on Robinson a little earlier. Don't forget, Vandenberg is looming back there, too.
AC misses the field, the free throw attempt, and the official signal, Iowa ball. As Bill Robinson looks forlornly, and that foul, incidentally, against AC was on Bill Robinson, his third.
Ohio State really noticeably trying to take away dribble penetration, giving opportunities for post passes.
Smith getting by Baker inside the Street, and Street pump fakes, can't get the drop.
Well, they got Robinson, James. He's not making those, and he's somewhat upset. And of course, Dr. Tom likes to tease him, a high school quarterback. And when he does miss a pass or two, Tom says he must have run the options as a quarterback.
Well, nice option that time as he drew the fourth personal foul from Bill Robinson.
Bill just a half a step behind, maybe, huh?
That indeed. Jamal Brown in to replace him, so a little bit of quickness, not as much size on the floor for Ohio State. Earl
settling because of Vandenberg.
And suddenly Lawrence Vandenberg has in fact changed the shots of A.C. Earl.
Again, 3-2.
Gent.
He stepped up bigger this year than ever. I mean, he gave you all the little things. Now he's got ability going. His outside shot, the three-pointer, he's able to convert, and even a low post game.
6 points for Gent. And Gent is averaging 10 a game. A 51-38 Ohio State lead. Just underway here in the second half. Ohio State 2-1 in conference play. Iowa 1-2.
Well, Iowa, if they beat the pressure, has to run some good half-court stuff and get the bigger guys involved like Street and Earl.
Well, the fans are certainly involved. Moses, nice pump fake, getting Baker up and cans it. James Moses with a nice move. He's got 9.
Boy, did he attract Baker airborne.
An 11-point Buckeyes lead.
See how patient he is. A lot of shooters would have drilled that one.
That's what so many coaches like about Jackson. Doesn't force a thing.
Great feel.
Jackson.
Here's ability. Out jumps the smaller Barnes.
Back to a 13-point lead. Largest lead in the game was 16.
Look at this hustle.
Iowa State comes up with the loose ball from the scramble and is partially blocked. Moses shot. This is Baker. And a foul before the move to the basket.
On Smith, not a bad giveaway. But how about Gent? I mean, you've got to compliment Ohio State. Loose balls, anything up for grabs, and Randy loves it. I mean, the stimulus, the emotion in the building, and these two guys, I mean, they get a lot of old bologna, dried out bread sandwiches, but they're not going to step in and get a filet mignon. They give it all up for the institution.
Old bologna, dried out bread.
I'm thinking of what I get after, my wife gets a rash when she goes in the kitchen.
And Gent trying to make his move down low, but the foul is on Barnes. Val Barnes, his first personal.
Great trap situation.
Stolen by Iowa, thrown away by Iowa. A fresh 45 for Ohio State.
Great look.
Vandenberg. Goaltending on A.C. Earl's count to 2 for Vandenberg. He's got 12.
That might help Earl, though. That could be a message rejection. There's no question it's on its way down. It may not have got in, but maybe Earl will establish some confidence within himself.
Well, I'm sure Dr. Tom Davis is hoping that because right now his squad is down by 15 with under 17 to play in the contest.
Well, they can get some points, though. And we mentioned quickly, all of them are confident. They get 91 a game.
Well, quickly by Smith that time, Kevin Smith. Vandenberg, awesome rebound and follow.
What a
drop.
What a snatch. Big time.
And 1-on-2, Kevin Smith breaking the trap, attempted trap by Brown and Baker. And the foul is on Brown.
TD, a legend in a sense. He's stolen from everybody, as Randy in a sense has stolen, now developing his own philosophy with Tom down with fellows at Maryland, and then Tom Young, who he spent time with at American U, then Lafayette, BC, Stanford. He's been a few places, huh?
And successful.
He's cashed a few checks.
That was a second personal foul on Jamal Brown, third team foul for the Buckeyes. Troy Skinner in at the point guard for Iowa. This is Earl. And Earl, will it be called for the pusher?
Now, great. What he did, he establishes beautifully, and Street with the very catchable pass helps him, because as he's moving to the goal, there's no body contact, and Street thinking he can catch and finish, able to get it to him. But all of a sudden, Earl involved.
Funderburk was hoping for the clear-out move to no avail. A.C. Earl at the free throw line.
Are you getting into rules, by the way? After the one I blew last week, Ted Hillary out here, and I apologize to Bova, Hillary, and O'Neill for the over and back, which doesn't exist on an inbound. Guys work hard at the game, and
well, we couldn't have had a more gracious official than Ted Hillary in acknowledging the apology.
But the low post play they tried to clean up, and that time Earl.
And
with the
A.C.
reset.
Earl dropping both free throws in. Down to an 11-point ball game, 16-14 left in the game. And a foul called against Ohio State.
Well, those two guys shouldn't have had a trap, Street and Lusk. I think it's on Lusk. The roomies.
And check that, Billy. That foul is called on Ohio. Make that Iowa. It was on Paul Lusk,
Right.
his first person.
There's the two of them again, and they don't get the man in the middle. Would have been Skinner.
Baker. Boy, can he stop.
A guard, too.
At 6-1, over top of the trees for the lay-in. 5 straight field goals for the Buckeyes.
Street upset with, I don't know if they give this to Rodell Davis, who, like Street, struggled in the first half. No points from him, only 2 from Street. They need him. A little more offense by the inside people, or it's going to be a long ride home for T.D. Davis.
Fans are packed in here at St. John Arena, hanging over the edges of the court. Ohio State on top by 13, 57-44. As you take a look at an Iowa squad that's trying to come up with something to stop this Ohio State Express.
Well, it's turning into fast break baskets for Ohio State. The press ineffective, but the philosophy of Tom Davis is we'll keep doing it, we'll switch it, change it up, put it in different areas of the floor, but we're going to gnaw away and get something out of it eventually.
Instead, the Buckeyes gnawing away and doing a nice job offensively.
They're not retreating quick enough. Good perimeter passing.
Baker. Look at this tap in by Gent.
Baker wide open with the dribble penetration. They got the numbers now, James.
2-on-1. Lusk intimidated by Funderburk, but the follow is good.
Well, Lusk had him up, could have dished to A.C. Earl.
A.C. Earl now with 13 points in the game.
Better retreat this trip. So after the silence of a timeout, able to recover.
Baker, Brown, Gent, Funderburk, and Jackson 5 for Ohio State. This is Gent. And off the fingertips of Jay Webb at a return to Ohio State. And near the conclusion of today's game, Bill and I will select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet donates a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of each school. 59-46, Buckeyes on top. This is Baker. Look at Gent with the rebound and follow.
Just continual, non-stop, picking it up. That's a big play. Webb had his gloves on that rebound. It would have been Iowa's ball with a chance to counter.
Gent at his season's average, 10 points. Not a good look. And back.
Moses led Earl to the correct hand, but he just has to put it in a catchable position.
Webb Ben Lusk take a seat. Greg Tubbs into the game. Moses blocked by Funderburk and blocked by Brown.
Tubbs with the charge call. He'll make you think a little bit, JB. The gnawing effect we just mentioned of the press. They feel they're going to get some. This youngster is active and elevates.
Jackson.
Ball fake.
A.C. Earl with the rebound. This is Troy Skinner.
Funderburk showing strength, getting Earl out a step or two.
Need to get the ball to him quicker, Bill.
Yeah, maybe. They're able to cushion.
And a good move by A.C. Earl, that time not allowing any distance.
And he initiates the contact. That's a nice call by the non-call. He goes at the defender. Nice
Jackson.
play. Skinner. And then the reach over the top by Funderburk.
Good alert play by Troy Skinner, who saw the behind-the-back pass coming. And as Funderburk whistled for the foul, indeed he is. So Funderburk picks up his second personal foul. Fifth Buckeye foul, 61-48. Ohio State lead with 13:48 left in the game.
As we check the continuing saga of substitution row. They all get in. You tie these shoes, get the sweatpants off. Maybe we should have gone to these programs.
Got a little more time, huh? It's Tom Brandewee and Ricky Dudley come in for Ohio State.
Now, Dudley's the kind of a guy, they got a violation on the baseline. You cannot walk away. And Randy Ayers helped assist on the call, but I notice every place we go, you look for a guy that could play for the Redskins and have a conversation. Dudley's your guy here. You like
Built.
the frame, huh?
Built. Strong man. They think he's going to be a major factor here in this program, too, as Brandewee has a strip but is fouled. James Moses picks up his second personal foul. Hawkeyes sixth.
You know, a crazy thing in the Southwest Conference last night, Texas A&M at Baylor was canceled because of fumes. I wish I had known that. Everybody's fine, by the way. I had rain cancellations. I never thought of fumes. I'm going to save myself a couple of losses. But everybody is fine down there.
Someone's going to use that as an excuse one day. Jackson.
Hiding on the baseline, and the post-up ability negates the pop out to defend him. Almost had one.
Jim Jackson with 12 points on the afternoon. It's a 63-40 Ohio State lead, and Barnes is fouled by Mark Baker.
NBA style. Get the body up and make sure you release the basketball so you can get two.
And Barnes drops in the first. An 81% free throw shooter. An honorable mention, all Big Ten last season. Getting only his first point here in the second half at the 13-20 mark. Make it two.
And JB, he had to play a little point guard. He's more comfortable off the ball for this club. Now they're getting back. You notice they have been getting the dark shirts back. Everybody lingering in the back court. Switching in the man-to-man on the exchanges.
And Brown can't find the range. This is Moses. And Moses finds the range.
How did he hold up to be soft enough to the kiss?
The fingertips.
Oh, great control.
Down to 11, 63-52. Left in the game.
Iowa will hang.
40 exactly is left.
Last year, the same kind of a situation.
And one of the rare mistakes you'll see Jim Jackson make as he throws it away, thinking Brown was going to be in one spot.
And he may have been right. Step to the goal. Randy will discuss it. I want a little bit of a run. Pretty good basketball left.
The backcourt of the Buckeyes doing the job. A.C. Earl, 3 of 4 from the floor in the second half. He's inching up in the scoring category. Funderburk only 2 points in the second half. And the OSU bench, a little deceptive there. Of those 13 points, Jamal Brown has 8, and he normally is a starter. An 11-point Buckeyes lead, 63-52.
Good denial. Brandewie and Baker almost caused the turnover. High pick and roll.
Inside the Street, and Street, a foul call before he goes up for the basket. Is it on Brandewie?
They call them quick hitters. It may be Brandewie. They ran the pick and roll, and Street busts to the box. And wide open. It negates the thrust, the foul. But, gee, well-designed play.
Chris Gent and Lawrence Funderburk coming in to replace Tom Brandewie and Mark Baker.
How about this building? When you walk in, the first thing I thought of was Lucas and Havlicek and Noel and Roberts and Freddie Taylor watching a high school game, their coach, on a ladder underneath the scoreboard in the corner because he couldn't get a seat or he couldn't see over the crowd.
And became his customary seat. Third oldest building in the Big Ten behind the arena at Minnesota and Wisconsin.
And I figured out why Knight's a good coach. He didn't get in enough. He had to do something. He had to analyze. Sitting there, trying to understand the game. Picked up a few tips, I'm sure, from Freddie Taylor.
Under double digits, 63-54. Iowa trying to creep back into it. Plenty of time left, 12 minutes.
There's the difference.
But plenty of offensive firepower left in Jim Jackson.
Pick by Dudley. Set that whole play out. But, both programs very similar. We talked about the philosophies, but a couple of the players in Ohio State a notch above. Jackson being one of them. Funderburk lingering or looming, I should say.
And that's the real difference as Moses drops into the basket. James Moses with 13 points in the contest. And it's 65-56.
And it's all because Iowa is responding after the initial trap, getting back and getting set. Same play using Dudley. You know who the point guy is now? He led the comeback against Indiana as the point guy. Nice look. Funderburk should have been a little closer.
And also should have had his hands ready. Did not. As a result, Iowa ball. And Tom Davis looking on as he's reaching into his bag of tricks to get back into the contest.
A little thing about Tom. Tom Young was the ODU coach, an old friend of mine at Rutgers. Tom, knowing that he wasn't coaching this year, let him scout a basketball game just to keep that bright mind involved. And here's the trap impacting on Smith. The step through, he got called for the walk.
17 turnovers for Iowa. And as I mentioned, the Buckeyes forced the opponents into 20 a game.
See this set stretches the defense. And look for Jackson when they inbound.
Funderburk in the paint, stolen by Smith. Good quick hands by Kevin Smith. And the follow by Moses.
Well, it's unfortunate. Street's just a little off his game. And Smith came up empty that time on that delivery. He's got to finish that.
Down to a 7-point Buckeyes lead.
Nice look.
And Brown is hacked as he takes it to the basket. Looks like it's on A.C. Earl.
You think they got Earl? I thought Moses came down to help out as well. Just good basketball. You're right on A.C.
Third personal on A.C.
But they get it to the post and then find people. Ohio State can pick you apart in your half-court defense.
Ohio State led by as many as 16. It's down now to 7.
Check out. Good shot.
I think Jamal will be on time for class, don't you? After Randy with certainty.
From here on out.
Yeah. And that's after the Indiana game, folks. They got back late. Loss. And here we go.
7 of 8 from the free throw line for the Buckeyes, and it's a 66-58 lead.
Man, nice back cut.
And a nice strip of Skelton by A.C. Earl. A.C. Earl's got those long arms, which help him to play taller than his 6'10" frame as Paul Lusk comes in to replace Val Barnes. So it's Paul Lusk, A.C. Earl, Chris Street, James Moses, and Troy Skinner, the 5 defensively for Iowa.
See how tough they make it on the inbounds? They caused the turnover. Ohio State working on that yesterday. You just can't simulate what an opponent like Iowa is going to do. They won't go as hard in practice.
Moses for 3.
Well, he keeps parting the cords and will not be able to press Ohio State.
And Iowa keeps coming back as Moses rips a hand across the eyes of Jim Jackson and will be called for the foul. Unintentional.
Yeah, it was the scrape, and you see a lot of that in basketball. The quick hands ending up in that vulnerable area.
Down to a 5-point Ohio State lead. Iowa not giving up, continuing to fight back.
Imagine they almost let Ayers go as an assistant to Marlin. What a disaster. Paul Brazeau, who was so helpful to both of us, they were both down with Gary. He thought he was going to have the two of them as assistants, and they called back. Les Fertig right alongside him was at Army with Randy. But fortunately for Ohio State and their fortunes, the big fella stayed.
Randy Ayers with no previous head coaching experience in his 3rd season here. And boy, is he pleased to have this guy here, the best non-big man player in the Big Ten for sure, and probably the country.
And Les Fertig next to him. How about Les on Funderburg's dunk at practice yesterday? As soon as he dunked, Les went over and started talking to him, and I said, there's Les. He hasn't touched a net in his life. Said he didn't like the way Lawrence went up. Maybe it was the way he landed.
What frame of reference did he have? 1 of 2 from the free throw line for Jim Jackson, and it's a 6-point Ohio State lead.
Well, they try and tighten the screws with the man-to-man pressure. You might get a back cut out of this.
Earl. Street with the follow. Chris Street drops in the follow-up shot. He's got 6 and is down to a 4-point lead.
Chris really understands the lane. Able to find spots to be open and offensive rebound.
And keep in mind, last season, Iowa knocked out Ohio State out of a outright Big Ten title. Ohio State wound up sharing with Indiana.
Tough shot, thrown away, go at him!
And a good rebound by Chris Street, and here come the Hawkeyes. Trailing by only 4, had been down by as many as 16.
Gent will gamble on the denial. They're liable to get a back cut. See, this offense puts pressure on the low post defenders.
Earl. And the foul on Funderburg. I maintain A.C. Earl has not been as effective from the field because of Lawrence Funderburg having to change up his shots, but he did draw the foul.
Do you know what happened there, JB? Funderburg is helping out because the ball is on that side, the strong side. Now, as the penetration occurs, he steps further under, and Earl wisely pins him under the tin.
Third personal on Funderburg, 8th team foul on Ohio State as A.C. Earl, a 59% free throw shooter, misses the first. And coming next, Villanova and North Carolina, the talented Tar Heels, taking on the surprising Wildcats of the Big East. Willie Massimino's squad, Jim Nance, Billy Packer, and Andrea Joyce will bring you that action.
UNC and Dean Smith looked very good against Wake Forest, didn't they?
That they did.
Wow, they step it up a notch.
And this is the closest that Iowa has been since the 1916 mark in the first half.
Good job by Skelton, recognizing the balance. They can post up on Jackson with Lusk.
Skelton for 3.
Ooh, wasted that opportunity. And Jimmy not real happy. First time I've ever seen him show dismay.
Good hands by Mark Baker and an excellent save. Good hands, better hands by Smith.
Should have been on the floor by Jackson.
And Lusk is going to be called for walking. Paul Lusk and Iowa had the numbers, couldn't convert the 19th turnover for the Hawkeyes.
They're going to use it Funderburg to great advantage. And it also has helped Iowa because they can get back when they throw to to the post. Guys looking for the inbound passer. There they go.
Jackson.
Bruce Pearl, the assistant for Iowa, said they were worried about him posting up when they went man.
Blocked by Funderburk. Third block of the game for Lawrence.
Well, it wasn't that layup that created this havoc. It was a spike. He could never play beach volleyball. So he would have put it on the next beach, needed a bag to retrieve it. That was one of the most impressive snapbacks I've seen. The half court. Oh, did that electrify everybody?
Iowa had cut it to 3. It's now back up to 8.
Iowa takes on Northwestern Wednesday at 7.
CBS Sports coverage of the road to the Final Four is sponsored by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. 3M, worldwide sponsor of the 1992 Olympic Games. And by the United States Marine Corps, the few, the proud, the Marines.
The flavor and excitement of college basketball here on CBS. Ohio State back in front 72-64 with 7:20 left in the ball game. And one of the changes that Randy Ayers saw Gary Williams make when he was here was to bring the students down near courtside. Let these guys get into the game.
And they impact on this game. Incidentally, the mascot's name is Brutus, and with that block at 2, Brute, huh? They, a fast break ignited with those types of block. And he's back alone.
2-on-2. Barnes. Wisely brings it back out. Troy Skinner, Jay Webb, Rodell Davis, A.C. Earl, and Val Barnes, the 5 on the floor for the Hawkeyes. This is Webb.
Inside scoring. They also had Funderburk away from the hole.
And Webb with 6 points, averaging only 2 on the season. So he's been productive for Dr. Davis.
Little half-court trap. Barnes not able to recover.
A.C. Earl with the rebound of the Jamal Brown miss. 8 rebounds for Earl.
There's something about conference play, though, JB. Guys know one another, not afraid as Baker gets the little shove out deep. And you hate to see that if you're a coach, a little nickel dimer getting your point guard in trouble. But they just don't back off one another.
Third personal on Baker, and you hate to see that again, especially when the team is in the penalty. 9 team fouls on the Buckeyes. Troy Skinner, a 6-foot senior guard out of Palmer, Iowa. And he finds the range on shot number 1. A tough, hard-nosed player who's the son of a basketball coach.
One time now.
Because his shooting has been inept of late, and he's stroking this the last 3 football. If he can light it up a little bit, but I think they can get the ball inside right now against the man-to-man of Ohio State.
Down to a 4-point lead. Buckeyes have no difficulty breaking the press.
Once again, the wave of dark shirts recovering. He does break it down. Talk about greatness. Jackson willing to give it up.
And Funderburk, aggressive move in and out of the basket. And last touch by Funderburk.
And Gent, you don't need a janitor with Gent in the building. He'll just accommodate you as best he can. His home uniform becomes an away one.
I was about to say,
end of the game.
What you will need are a bunch of jerseys for this guy, number 21.
This isn't your local bowling alley. Ooh. He does give all he has in pursuit of victory.
He's the kind of guy teammates hate to defend in practice.
That drive you nuts, right? Coach, get him off me. And perfect trap. Funderburk walked away from it.
Steal attempted but recovered by Barnes. 5 on 4. Davis. And Webb goes up for the rebound. There's a foul. Funderburk. And Lawrence Funderburk picks up his 4th personal foul. With 5:52 left in the game, and the Buckeyes nursing a 4-point lead.
Well, what that does, if Randy does yank him, is all of a sudden you can challenge a little bit more after you beat the initial pressure defense. You can go at people. You don't have that fear of the block being thrown back. It makes the little offensive thrust easier.
And Bill Robinson replacing Funderburk as Jay Webb misses the first. One of 2 for Webb.
3-quarter passive pressure.
And a 3-point ball game.
Now Jimmy's got to step up a little bit now. Without Funderburk trying to get into their high pick and roll for him on this play. Look at him juke. Nice.
And he is not afraid to take it over. Jim Jackson now with 19 points in a game. The Big Ten's leading scorer at 24 games.
Now Harold Mine, who plays for Raveling at USC, and they beat Ohio State. Harold said he reminds me of Oscar Robertson. I'm trying to figure out, was he around when Oscar was playing? But the body does. Big, strong, good help on the post.
Earl forces it. Rebounded by Jackson. And Jackson taking control of matters. Nice pass to Baker. Rebounded by Webb. 4:56 left in the game. A 74-69 Buckeyes lead.
Now Earl's just posting up. They're not running their screens. It's been a little tougher for him.
Earl shot blocked by the backboard. Gets his own rebound and scores over Robinson.
He does keep going after it.
And you can see his confidence going against Robinson versus Funderburk. Jackson is fouled.
Now there's a questionable one because he goes away from Skinner with the easy 8-footer to penetrate where he almost got the thing rejected, but seldom does he have bad judgment.
The last foul called on Troy Skinner, his first. Substitutions for Iowa. Paul Lusk into the game. Chris Street, A.C. Earl, Kevin Smith, and James Moses, the 5 for Iowa.
Keep going to Earl, wouldn't you say? Particularly with Sir Lawrence residing on Ayers' bench.
And Jackson. A rare miss at the free throw line for Jim Jackson.
A very competitive crew. Tough one with Michigan, his Iowa club.
4 of 6 at the charity stripe for Jim Jackson. And it's a 4-point Ohio State lead. 4:30 left in the game. 2 bruisers right here. Nick Street and Chris Jent.
Same attitude on the floor.
Both ex-football players. Both love to hit, as they mentioned.
There's Earl. And they go to him right away.
And he connects.
Good post pass.
Now, at what point do you think Randy Ayers will bring Funderburk back in?
Oh, I think he's got time. Depending on the judgments, they can't shoot quickly. Get Jackson into the flow. Good things happen when Jimmy has it.
And it's down to a 2-point Ohio State lead with under 4 to play.
And he's tough in here.
And Jackson is fouled before the shot by Paul Lusk. Lusk just not strong enough for the post move of Jackson.
Who is? He's very, well, you figure as a point guard, he's taking that guy down. As the second guard, he's taking a smaller guy down with not as much strength as well.
Who does Jackson remind you of, body style?
I like the Oscar comment by Miner.
Okay.
And of course, Raveling with a great win. George, much older than me. Villanova, I used to read about him.
Well, some of the old Big Ten fans might recall Ralph Simpson.
Oh yeah, you mentioned the other day at the meeting.
Michigan State.
But George, with a great run, I think they're 3-1. Only lost to the conference to Arizona.
Boy, very uncharacteristic of Jackson at the free throw line. Second. 5 of 8 from the free throw line. Only a 3-point lead held by Ayers Buckeyes. Second half of our doubleheader coming your way. North Carolina, Dean Smith and the Tar Heels hosting Rollie Massimino and Villanova. And you know, even though Rollie has been quite successful over the years, new wardrobe and the like, he's still just as active and sweaty on the sideline.
Well, he is. He's in total disarray by the end of the game. I mean, he looks his normal self, but that's a size game. James Bryson and Mark Dowdell for Villanova have to play awfully big against that great front line. George Lynch on fire the other night. And, of course, Eric Montross developing as a very tough low-post center.
And a very good ball game here. Street
Great
on the
call.
alley-oop, and we're now down to a one-point ball game. 3:35 left in the contest. Ohio State up 76-75.
That's that fake jump shot that people think you're shooting. Nice, well-designed play by TD.
Jackson, Baker, Brown, Bill Robinson, and Chris Gent, the 5 for the Buckeyes.
Man-to-man with some help.
Gent for 3.
Look at him follow, though.
His own rebound. And back.
There's a Hart goal. A badge goal.
12 points for Chris Gent, and back to a 3-point Buckeyes lead. 2:50 left in the game. Moses double clutches and makes it.
And Baker made him change.
James Moses had to change his shot. He dropped in his 20th point of the game. He's averaging 13. Back to a 1-point lead.
Trying to run baseline with Jackson. They go high-low in the post. And then the sneak baseline. Who's the high-low?
Gent. On fire. Chris Gent.
Great look by Jackson. He developed the whole play. He was the choreographer. Trying to get Street in the game. Lust walking.
Second traveling violation on Lust, and the 20th turnover of the game for Iowa. Ohio State forces 20 a game. Iowa has 20 turnovers. Ohio State's crowd on edge. Buckeyes up by only 3. 2 timeouts remaining for Iowa, 1 for Ohio State. Both teams in the bonus situation, and the possession arrow favors make that Iowa.
Of course, every time the foul, the 2 shots. And there's a guy, he was telling me today, his dad, they're from Sparta, New Jersey, now has Ohio as his area. Isn't that convenient? But he is home watching on the 2. His son has performed beautifully.
And Lawrence Funderburk is back in the game, having replaced Bill Robinson. 1:40 left in the game.
Well, good things happen when Jackson either finalizes or leads to the finalization.
Baker off the pick and scores. Good pick by Funderburk, opening up for the easy jumper.
Well, there's your answer, Randy, not waiting any longer.
A 5-point lead, Street for 2. Funderburk with the rebound. Lawrence Funderburk, 12 rebounds in the afternoon to go along with 12 points.
Iowa now in a gambling type of situation. Trying to play heads up, trying to deny, and the penetration and kick is the concern. 3 perimeter guys can drive to the goal and find people. Baker, Brown, and of course the All-American Jackson.
And give a lot of credit to that guy, Chris Gent, for sparking Ohio State as Jackson loses the ball but recovered by Brown. 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Stolen by Smith.
Better hurry.
And Smith scores and is down to a 3-point ball game with 33 seconds left.
How about the trap at half court? They don't sit back and let you beat them. Good aggressive basketball leading to that step in by Smith with the finish.
With 33 seconds left in the ball game, and Ohio State on top by 3, each team with 1 timeout remaining. Both teams, again, in the bonus and the possession arrow, still Iowa. Now, if you were playing coach here, who would you foul?
Well, they've been lobbied to Funderburk, and not that he's a bad free throw shooter, but at 71, you want to steal or stop the clock. Steal first, and then stop it. Whereas Baker down to 63, and Robinson, who's not in, a little bit lower at 57. Nice step in.
And a steal by Barnes, and Barnes tries to call timeout while in the air.
Great try.
Hightower says, no, I'm not buying it.
Great try.
But good thinking on
Well, it
Barnes' part,
sure
too.
was. And Ed's saying that the ball was loose when he tried the timeout, but an incredible effort and heads up. Now watch the long home run. Nobody back.
Randy Ayers trying to direct his squad, but Kevin Smith of Iowa recognizes what's being attempted as well.
Tom wants more time put on the clock. I saw him put up 3 fingers.
And you notice him going at it. Both coaches into the heat of the action here.
Well, Randy said, I know I have some of your philosophy, but I'm not taking any of your heat.
I'm a competitor.
He's still...
And Tom's point is well taken. He says, hey, wait a minute, but 3 seconds?
Don't forget, Baker and Funderburk, you might see a hit and go, and the quarterback in Gent being tested. No.
And again, Davis was complaining about 3 seconds having been taken off of the clock as we get a foul here with 27.4 seconds remaining in the contest.
Now with Baker around, not one of the premier free throw shooters, but the chance now for the offense to be conscious of his inability, and also the defense. With all 4, they've got to squeeze, and you'll see Smith joining in to take the shooter.
And specifically Baker at the free throw line on the year, a 61% free throw shooter. And don't forget, game 2 coming your way, Villanova and North Carolina.
Hands up, Black. Go. Hands up, check out. Check out. Oh, yeah.
Baker off the mark. Harsh with Ohio State leading by only 3. 27.4 seconds remaining. Second, 12 of 17 from the line for Ohio State.
Makes it a 2-trip game.
Nice pass to Earl. Earl gets the foul with 17.1 seconds remaining, and Iowa burns off his last timeout. A 2-point ball game still. A concerned 13,276 on hand as Ohio State nursing only a 2-point lead. The Hawkeyes have burned off their last timeout. The Buckeyes with 1 remaining with 17.1 seconds. And Coach Raftery, the strategy here.
Well, I had the Villanova-Seton Hall game, and Rollie Massimino, we're going to see them later with Carolina, lengthen the game, and that's what Tom Davis is trying to do now. I think they'll go for the steal and the foul. I think Ohio State will have to lob to Funderburk. They'll try and deny all the wing passes and loop to him, and I would give it to him right away if you cannot steal it. But the idea is to keep the clock from running.
And the possession arrow, keep in mind, still favoring Iowa. Baker, Jackson, Brown, Gent, and Funderburk, the 5 on the floor for Ohio State.
Gent can run the floor, and everybody up there open for a long pass if it shows. And they get it to Jackson. That's the right guy.
2-man basketball with Gent and Jackson, and a foul. Street.
Great move by Randy. You know what they're going to do. You've got to counter, and they just let Jackson and Gent, 80% shooters, touch the basketball. Pretty wise move.
Good move. With 11.8 seconds remaining, Chris Gent takes a trip to the free throw line. He's got 14 points on the afternoon, averaging 10. And as Bill mentioned, most important here, an 80% free throw shooter. Definitely throws it up. With a relaxed look on his face. Not so with Tom Davis.
A push and a giveaway. That's what they have to think of. Iowa get it up as quick as they can, depending on this.
Makes it it a 4-point lead.
A two-trip game.
Smith.
They don't have to take it out if it goes in now.
And Earl losing it with under 3 to play. And Ohio State wins a close one, 85-81 over Iowa. Tom Davis was trying to pick up a victory in his 600th basketball game. Falls by 4 to Randy Ayers in Ohio State. The Chevrolet players of the game are from Iowa, A.C. Earl, and from Ohio State, Jim Jackson. A check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated to each college's general scholarship fund to further assist qualified students in all chosen academic fields. So for Bill Raftery, I'm James Brown saying so long from St. John Arena.